live from the abyss. Haha, good joke. So today we actually managed to get him, ladies and gentlemen. We actually managed to get the real CrankyTemplar. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure of mine, I must say. I had a few encounters with you before. We were both in the infamous Among Us game of 2020, where I lost a lot. And I think, how did you fare in Among Us? How did you do?
There were a few survivors, but I seem to have the curse of the crewmate whenever we play.
I always found it very interesting how your kind of strategy was like not talking too much, and then nobody would notice the difference when you're really an imposter, which is very clever. I give you that. Well done. What's your kind of opinion on Among Us? Is it probably your favorite game, I would say?
It's definitely a really fun multiplayer. I got introduced to it through World of Warcraft buddies that we wanted to play some multiplayer. We kind of branched out from playing Dead by Daylight a bit, and I want to say we've done a few other ones, but we had a lot of fun with it. And when you have 40-man rating in World of Warcraft, you can easily fill a 10-man game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, yeah, good. So you're also known for your Hollow Knight content, which is probably where most people from my audience would know you, if they even know you, which everybody should definitely know CrankyTemplar. When was your first kind of contact with Hollow Knight, and how did you get into the kind of fandom and stuff?
Well, with the Steam sale in 2017 during the summer, that's when I first saw Hollow Knight. I picked it up, I played it, loved it, and I kept finding reasons to go back and play it. And I just tried new things. I know that I tried Old Nail stuff originally. Didn't particularly do too much stuff. I was pretty bad back then. I still have a lot of old videos where I'm just really rubbish. But
Okay.
a lot of it is you practice, you get better, you have a lot of flubs and everything, but eventually it comes together that eventually you slowly, incrementally get better. And Godmaster has really raised the bar of skill with a lot of players. Folks that
definitely
they they couldn't actually, they didn't think they'd be doing Radiant bosses or being able to beat all the bosses one after the other, and then now you have a lot of folks that beat the Pantheon of Hallownest, and that's a big accomplishment.
It is, yeah, indeed. I think with all bindings, only a few handful of selected people actually managed to do it. Did you beat the Pantheon with all the bindings on, or how did you fare?
I kept putting it off, but eventually I did it because I wanted to be a real person, as per General Milky. Who, you're not a real person.
You're not.
You're like a robot or a Pinocchio-like character otherwise, so I am a real person now.
Assuming that you must have tried a lot with playing the Pantheon, would you still say that it's a very good feature or an add-on into the game? That it's because, from what I've heard, many people actually avoid the Godmaster content or don't particularly enjoy it that much because it is so much based on trial and error. Other stuff in Hollow Knight is as well, of course. I mean, that's basically every game. You try a bit, you fail, you do it again. But I think the Pantheons took that to a whole nother level of just okay, time to practice Radiance for 4 hours today, and then maybe I can attempt once the Pantheon because it takes half an hour to get there. Would you still say that it's a good addition to the game?
Well, my opinion might be a bit skewed, having practiced a good bit with that. I've enjoyed it, but I do think there are some flaws with it, and for instance, having to reach Absolute Radiance to be able to unlock your statue makes it very difficult on your first playthrough to be able to get the practice to be able to beat the Pantheon of Hallownest, because the first time you jump in against Absolute Radiance, you're probably not going to do well.
No. Except if you prepare.
But that means that you're doing 41 bosses just to unlock the statue to be able to practice to then go back. So I can see how that's very frustrating with the design of it. And
True.
For some folks, it might be more of a willing to put in that time investment with it. Others would see that as a bit of a frustration. I did Hat in Time bosses today that I uploaded that doing like Ultra Snatcher, you have to beat all the other EX bosses before you can actually attempt him, and that can be a bit frustrating when you have that kind of design, when it's not a kind of standalone thing to practice.
Yeah, I think that's a fair opinion to have, I must admit. I mean, I did beat the Pantheon of Hellas eventually, not with the bindings, of course. I'm not a real person after all. I'm merely a figurehead for a larger group, of course. I'm just a puppet for other people. So I did manage, but it took me a real long time, and I think the fucking 50th time that I saw Grim doing his bow, I snapped. I wasn't. I don't know. It seemed also like repetitive, because especially when you're very much able to beat the first bosses, or I say like get to the last two maybe, then every boss that comes before that is just okay. Now I have to do that again. Okay, and now I have to beat that one again. And I know that for some people it's probably like still enjoyable after the 200th try, but for me it became kind of more like, okay, before I get to that boss I have to just beat the other 500 bosses who are in here, and that's not fun. That's why my experience grew a bit sour, I would say. But alas, yeah, sorry.
I completely understand that, because especially like the first half year, it's pretty much kind of filler after a while. If you can beat those first 20 bosses consistently, you really don't need to be worrying about them. But at the same time, you'll get lazy and you might do worse than what you would normally do if you had focused with it. I know that when doing all bindings, Collector was my big wall. That one is annoying. Yeah, it's just simply that you can easily have the ads stack up. You can't really clear them as easily since you can only have the soul for one spell. And it kind of feels at certain times when doing bindings that certain bosses you pay a lifeblood tax to be able to get past them.
That's a nice word, yeah, that's a nice neologism of lifeblood tax. Yeah, okay, good. So we can definitely say, okay, could have been maybe a bit better, but okay. So you're probably also excited for the second game, I assume.
Wait, there's a second game?
There's probably going to be. I mean, according to the funny men of the internet and the funny people of the internet, there's never going to be a second game, which is, haha, isn't that funny? But no, probably there will be a second one, I assume, I hope so. And what will your kind of approach be with that one? Do you think you're going to attempt just a live stream with playing through it, or are you maybe first directly attempt at a speed run, or how is it going to go for you?
Folks have asked if I would stream it, and I said yes before, so I think I'm going to try and keep to what I said with that. It'll probably just be streaming. However, the thing is, I'm not really that good at speed running, and I tend to not be good at speedy kills or anything. I tend to meander more with playthroughs and such, and can make plenty of mistakes on the first go. I think the folks that watch me play A Hat in Time can attest to that. And Terraria, I have plenty of mistakes with that. So I think a lot of it is going to be that I'll probably stream and probably make backup saves and so forth to get back to places quickly, and then try to do challenges with that. Like, I expect that plenty of people are going to beat me to like doing bosses hitless or anything, but I do want to try and do that. Whenever folks do more mods with it, I'd be happy to see what kind of modded content there is.
Yeah, you're very, very much into the modded community. I've noticed that a few stuff that you'd like to try out, which is very interesting, because I am not that acquainted to mods, but I do see a few of them from Hollow Knight occasionally pop up. You know, like the Hornet skin kind of one, or the one with the Twitch community, where they could decide what kind of traps there are going to be displayed on the screen, which I think you also did as well.
Yeah, I did it up to Radiance and the Black Egg, which there's so many commands that can easily mess you up. That simply put, you it can make the game very unplayable depending on what combo you get. As I trying to get the Dream Nail in the Dream World from the Seer is probably one of the most difficult things in the run. a lot of the bosses, you're hoping that you can get the infinite soul from Salubra so that you can just spam Shade Soul and hopefully they die before you do.
Interesting. That's good. Okay.
But it does make for a lot of entertainment for folks.
It does, yeah.
Aha.
I did see a bit of it. You must forgive me for not always being too active when it comes to streaming, because I myself am not that acquainted to the whole streaming world. I just watch your stuff sometimes. Sometimes I watch Taco TV stuff, but I don't know. I'm more into normal videos. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can completely understand. Time zone differences are always one of the bigger problems, and I stream really late, which can also be very off-putting for, I suppose, for folks. And as well, it's just simply that, sometimes it's either just watch a video that actually does, like, the clips for the good stuff. Like, in streams, there can be a lot of empty time meandering with it to where you're not really sure what's the good parts of the game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess that is indeed something that... Yeah, streaming, I guess, is a bit more... It's hard to say, because I've had that debate before with, like, a friend of mine, if doing, like, a normal video, like editing a video for a few months, or just doing a live stream for an evening if something is harder. And I guess it just kind of depends on the one side how much effort you're willing to put in, like, both of the kind of areas of content, and again, like, what kind of thing you prefer, I would say. Because streaming for a lot of people is just like, okay, I mean, he's not going to be talking all of the time, and I just have to sit here mostly and just wait till something interesting happens. And it's not like a video where I can just watch 10 minutes, because oftentimes in the 10 minutes it's a compressed version of what happens in the stream. And watching the stream full 2 hours, 3 hours, never mind how long it could take, is it's difficult, I would say, to keep very entertaining. Or how was your kind of experience with streaming?
Oh golly, I started streaming this year, and yes, it's very difficult, especially the harder stuff that you play. It's hard to both pay attention to chat, converse with chat, and stay focused on gameplay during it. And to some degree, I've been trying to learn how to do that, and not always successfully. But I hope that I've at least improved a little bit since I started in February.
I think so. I think with trial, there always comes a part where you advance in your range of, well, streaming is the topic now, I suppose. Going to another different topic, your YouTube channel. You currently have, okay, I didn't check before, 15,000 subscribers, or how many?
I think it's about 21,000.
21,000 already? Jesus. Which channel did I look at? I must have looked at some different channel. Shit. Well, 21,000. Okay. When did you start out? Like, how was your kind of start and origin of the channel, if you care to elaborate?
Well, I made the channel in 2009 and mostly just put up some Wasted Eye video on an old Laserdisc game called Thayer's Quest, mostly because the current compilations didn't have every single thing. So then I kind of just put up games like Pillars of Eternity, an RPG that's like a spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate that had a good bit of fun. And eventually, after I started playing Hollow Knight, I was like, all right, I'm going to try some challenges, put them up, and maybe just have some fun with it. And but I didn't really get seriously started uploading stuff until like March of 2018. And then Godmasters, when things really kind of started to grow to where I started putting more time into doing that.
So would you say the rise of the channel was a bit slower, or how early did you start gaining pretty good amount of subs?
Not until Godmaster. It was pretty slow before then, but I mean, a lot of it has been that I kind of view it more as a hobby that just kind of have fun with and so forth. And as it grows, it means that you put more time into it. But ultimately, it's trying to just do things that you're going to have fun with. The last thing you want to do is just like burn yourself out trying to be like, I've got to grow such and such and all that.
I do know that feeling. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I had another discussion with another friend about that topic, where it's kind of hard to decide, because of course as a channel one of the main points you want to have is growing. I mean, there are of course some people who are like, I mean, I don't really care. I just do what I want, which is good for them. But for others, it's like kind of. I mean, yeah, sure, I wanna have fun, but I also like, I don't know, want to gain more attention or want to have more people watching my stuff. You know, not only have like one comment under each video, but maybe 1,000 comments or something, or 10,000. And I guess it's just kind of hard to manage because obviously some stuff gets a lot more views, but if you only do that one type of stuff, then it's just gonna, I think, get boring very quickly, especially if the thing you're doing is very repetitive and not very informative. But I mean,
Yeah, I mean, even with Hollow Knight, I kind of like just jumping around with things, and I do a decent number of non-Hollow Knight content, which admittedly doesn't get always as much attention, but it's kind of just to have fun with certain things. Like I'm a fan of like old adventure games, even if I'm not very good at them.
some
And
examples, which games you like in that genre?
well, I remember some of the old Sierra games. Like I played King's Quest 6, no, not 6, 7 when I was a kid. And when I was a young adult, I played things like Quest for Glory, which I started streaming because wanting to actually finish the entire series. But I remember a good number of ones like King's Quest, Quest for Glory, and other ones like that. Monkey Island.
Monkey Island, yeah, that one's a good one. Yeah,
I loved the third game when I played it.
I'm not too acquainted with the series. I think did I ever own one? I think I might have had one before, but I can't really remember. I definitely know that I watched a bit of the stuff from it. I don't know too much about it. I played Day of the Tentacle. That's the one that I played, the remastered version in was it a few years ago, I think, and I find that game superb. I must say, if I would have the time, which I assume because of COVID I kind of should have at the moment, I could definitely try to do that one again because I always find it very, I don't know. Of course, it's the same stuff all the time. Like every playthrough, you have your kind of like, okay, now I do that one, then I bring that item to that place and stuff. But I just find the game aesthetically and also from the soundtrack and the kind of gameplay and stuff. I don't know. I just find it very entertaining. But
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing about it is a lot of the adventure games have kind of moon logic puzzles to where you have to do rather obtuse or counterproductive things. I remember an old game that I played on the Nintendo, the original Nintendo, a Shadowgate, where you're exploring a castle where everything basically kills you, and the designers were very creative. Pick up an innocuous-looking book, floor brick gives away, and you fall to your death.
Okay.
Things like that. It's not obvious that it's going to do that, and then they let you do things like set yourself on fire.
Okay, sure.
To where it's like those old choose your own adventure books where they just kill you off in bizarre and silly ways.
Yeah, interesting. I mean,
To where
again, I don't play that genre too often, but I do find it very entertaining and interesting when people play those kind of games. Good. Well, we went a bit of astray from your channel, which was the prior topic, but did you always have your name and your profile picture attached to the channel, or did it ever change, or how did that kind of come?
I think it's remained the same. Although I think that the icon has changed because it's just a meme kind of thing from Pillars of Eternity 2 of two characters that were kind of photoshopped. It made me laugh a good bit, so I just used that. And but the name of CrankyTemplar just comes from playing StarCraft as a kid.
Oh, that's StarCraft. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, never played that one.
I played a good bit of it as a teen. I haven't. I played through the second one for the campaign and such, but not so much multiplayer. But yeah, I'd recommend it. It's a pretty fun story with the gameplay and everything. Although I was mostly playing multiplayer with StarCraft 1 as a kid.
Aside adventure games, are there any other genres that you like to play at? I don't know, horror games or shooters, or what's your kind of group?
I'm not too big on shooters. I mostly played GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64 as a kid with my siblings, and we would have fun with that.
Cool.
We'd have to play on the one-hit kill difficulty because otherwise all of us would just camp the body armor. So we'd just do silly things like mines, put mines everywhere, so random explosive death. And for let's see, shooters, and what was the other one that you mentioned?
Horror games, maybe.
Oh, horror. Okay, maybe I'm just trying to forget about horror games and so forth. I am not very good with jump scares and so forth, so I tend to avoid horror games. Like I played through Little Hope streaming with it, which surprisingly it wasn't particularly that bad with the jump scares and so forth. Quite a few of them, but I think that also what probably happened is I tend to have a kind of Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of mindset when doing that, and I'll just make fun of horror games the entire time, which kind of ruins the effect.
Yeah. But also
it's
helps,
kind of,
I would say. I mean, it does make the game a bit easier.
Well, it also downplays the kind of horror aspect to where you'll mostly get startled by jump scares, and that's what kind of gets me. I don't like being startled, but it helps to kind of have that more joking around kind of thing, which ruins the atmosphere with horror games. I would love to, like, for instance, play a tabletop Call of Cthulhu, but I would never be able to run it because I'd just be making jokes the entire time.
Yeah,
lots of bad jokes.
I mean, I guess that, I mean, most people that I watched do horror games, which isn't many because I too didn't play too many horror games. I watched a Let's Play recently of A in Isolation, which I guess isn't too bad from the kind of jump scare because you have like this one big enemy and you have to avoid it, and if you don't avoid it, it's more frustrating than no, shit, I got scared again, because you already see where it kind of is and stuff, so it's not that scary in a sense, but I think you could call it a horror game, maybe something else, but I just found that one very entertaining to watch other people play. Was there another one? I most of the YouTubers that I see doing horror games anyway just make fun of it as well, so I guess it's just easier for me, or easier for most people to do that way. I guess if you really want to have the full experience, you should just play it on your own, because that's probably better.
Yeah, although I think that some folks like to see the kind of startled reaction from folks if they're streaming.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Oh no, get back.
Do that again, that was hilarious. Haha, you got scared. Yeah, I think that has a certain charm to it, yeah. Okay, so horror game shooters, check, perfect. Good. Coming back to Hollow Knight again, because we're crisscrossing over all different topics, because I don't have a script for this episode, I just go along with it. What would you say is your favorite aspect about Hollow Knight, and maybe even the Hollow Knight series? Because the second game seems to be very, not totally similar, but closely similar to the first game.
A lot of the boss combat. I really love the bosses that were implemented in Hollow Knight. I keep coming back to try and do various things with it. I mean, I love the mods that make the bosses harder. I'm not anywhere near as good with the platforming. I can do Path of Pain and so forth, but the various skips that speedrunners do, a lot of them I can't do, or at least I haven't practiced to be able to do, and so that's something that the stuff the speedrunners do particularly impresses me significantly.
Yeah, that's true. It is impressive, yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's why I watch Summoning Salt so often. I don't know if you know them, but he does like videos like the history of the Mario Kart, and then insert some track speedrun, or history of the, I don't know, what was it? He has a few videos in that kind of topic, which are always very entertaining to watch.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with like the history with speedrunning within games, but I mean that learning the various things of how speedrunners do various tricks to be able to get through the game is always very fascinating to see. Not merely when they actually pull it off. Like, watching various of the runs that like Fireborn and Monstellar have been really impressive to see various things that you can do that you wouldn't think that you could do to be able to get through the game.
Yeah, true. Fireborn, yeah, that's also, that rings a bell, indeed. What was it else? So bosses. Do you have a favorite boss from the game?
It would probably be Sisters of Battle or Your Vessel, but I think that implementing Sisters of Battle where they don't share health was probably less interesting of a boss fight, because as soon as you beat one of the sisters, it becomes significantly easier.
Yeah.
Which is why I really love the Tribe of Battle mod that made them all share health.
Mm-hmm. Sisters of Battle. And what's about Pure Vessel that interests you? Like the moveset or...
Well, I mean, besides his magnificent cape, which if he would not... We wouldn't be able to stop him at all if he didn't destroy his cape.
Yeah, that's true. I always wondered why he did that, because it looked very cool. I would have enjoyed to see that, but I guess, I mean, might be a bit kind of blocking the view if you always had like a cape flinging around or something.
It would have just been too magnificent and powerful. We wouldn't have been able to stop him. Also, Team Cherry make Pure Vessel caped again. But no, it's more so that the Hollow Knight fight is a lot of fun, that even if the Hollow Knight's not very difficult when you get there with full upgrades and such, the Pure Vessel fight kind of takes it back to where it actually is a challenge, to where you can have more of a standalone fight rather than it just being kind of like an obstacle on the way to the Radiance.
Mm-hmm. And regarding the Radiance, did that fight not really entice you, or...?
I mean, it's certainly a pretty fun fight and good fight, although Absolute Radiance has always been more of one that where I needed to practice it a good bit more, because I would make constant flubs with the fight.
Yeah, and most people do need to train.
I mean, I do remember when folks, before Godmaster and everything, were the discussions were, which is harder, Nightmare King Grim or the Radiance and the Black Egg?
That's a good discussion, of course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the terms of that discussion have shifted quite significantly with Absolute Radiance now.
Yeah, they did. Okay, interesting. So, any favorite areas from the game, or one favorite area, I mean?
Well, I kind of like Greenpath, even though that you don't really go back there. You go back there once to get everything after the beginning part, and then that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. But I love the aesthetics, I love the music for Greenpath, and probably my second or third favorite track with it. I do love that piano track in Dirtmouth. It's just so calm and relaxing.
Yeah, that one's good. Yeah, I listen to a lot of remixes from the game soundtrack sometimes, and I must say, from like most of the remixes that I've seen, I think Queen's Garden has a very good track to boost, and as you said, Dirtmouth and Greenpath. Greenpath is very relaxing. I mean, it
really reminds you of like Brinstar from Super Metroid, kind of. Well, I mean, the aesthetic especially goes for that vibe.
True.
But so it's also
kind of lushy one, or...
Yeah, because you have that kind of drab, dead feeling in the Forgotten Crossroads, and then everything just seems to come alive, so to speak, when you go through Greenpath for the first time. Mm-hmm. That is not all cold, gray, and lifeless.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. With the sounds in the background, it's true. It does remind one of nature, I would say, which is something that works to its benefit. And for the second game, would you say Moss Grotto might recapture that feeling, or...?
Well, we'll see. I haven't done too much looking into the various zones with it. I mean, there's a few things that I've seen here and there with pictures and such. I love that the appearance of the Coral Forest zone.
Yeah.
That one looks really nice.
Interesting. That's a pick.
We'll have to, it'll be one of those wait and see kind of things, because it might be a zone that looks nice, but might be really annoying to go through.
Did you have an annoying area in the first game, or was that just like a warning, maybe?
I think fungal waste. I think fungal waste mostly, as
really?
It's kind of, it's kind of big open, and although it connects with pretty much everywhere, it has that entire thing to where you really have to go quite far through it to get anywhere. You have a thing like if you want to backtrack to the Mantis Village and so forth, there's not an easy way to connect with all that. For instance, like going through the City of Tears, leaving through, once you've got Desolate Dive or such, to go back by the City Crest area or so forth, or the waterways.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, they had a few shortcuts which were pretty good. I remember that there's like one that cuts the upper section kind of in half, where you can go from the I think the Queen's Station, is it the Queen's Station?
Yeah,
And then
that it has a pretty
yeah.
good shortcut to the village.
But yeah,
But it still
I
has
do
that
agree,
kind
yeah.
of really big and open kind of thing to where I could probably imagine that on your first play, it's pretty easy to get lost there to some degree.
True, true. I mean, I must admit, because I like the area, or well, the soundtrack and like the atmosphere in it so much, I think it didn't bother me that much. But I do agree. Yeah, sometimes it was a bit annoying to go through everything again, especially for some of the findings of stuff that you've maybe missed or something. Which, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of small things in fungal waste that it's easy to overlook, spore shroom and everything. I wouldn't say it's like something that I absolutely loathe. It's just that I'd say that it's kind of one that it doesn't entice me as much as some of the other places.
Fair opinion, Taff. Fair opinion, Taff. Good. So, do you have a speculation for the second game's release date? Because we have to ask that question everyone who comes to the studio. So.
Well, they said it was going to be out in early this decade, so I'm saying December 21st of 2029. That's early enough.
2029, okay.
Yeah, December 21st. That's when you know you've reached the part where it's not the early part of the decade.
I need to get my blog to write it down. I have the predictions of everyone in a little notice board.
And then Zotsong will release 20 years later.
Zotsong, okay, interesting. Okay, that's also a tip, okay. Zotsong, would you like to see a third game, or do you think 2 games are enough?
I don't know. I mean, I love the entire kind of gameplay that's in Hollow Knight, and I hope that they have something very similar with Silksong, that, they change some things up, but it's still kind of like the series that we all have enjoyed, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But whether or not they have the stuff and the interest to actually continue with the third game, it might be after Silksong that they're like, yeah, we want to take a break. And that's totally fine.
I think some speculate that they already might do a different kind of genre once they're done. I think people have speculated about this Fearless Fox kind of stuff, which they might have gotten, so that might be, I don't know, Jump and Run or something, who knows. I mean, I could see them saying that we've put so much work and hours and stuff into this series. It's good. We had 2 good games. Don't want to risk perhaps a bad one, a third one or something. I don't think they would fail anyway because I have a lot of trust in them. But probably their choice would probably be to do other stuff. Which, again, with them having now a very good reputation and 2 probably very successful games, I can see a lot of new people coming into the community due to the second game. That they might try something else in the future and leave that
certainly.
fine. Yeah.
And I mean, with the content that they've already given, like the free content packs and such, that's already going above and beyond with what they, any kind of obligations with that. So it's certainly the case that they've definitely had a lot invested in Hollow Knight, that they wanted to do more with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it might be the case that after 2 games, that they might just be like, okay, we want to do something else for now.
Yeah. I mean, that will be interesting to see. From what I kind of got, is that the content packs essentially were a bit of an update to the main game, because the main game had a few, not problems, because it wasn't a major stuff or anything, but it had a few things that I would have liked to add, but they were under pressure. And I think that's going to be very interesting to see for the second game, if they just do... I mean, since they have all the time in the world now, if they're just gonna release it in a finished state already in the beginning, or if they're so full of ideas, which they've said multiple times that they have so many ideas that there might be content packs again, which would be very interesting to see. But again, it's their choice. I have no idea what they will do, so...
I mean, I certainly think that if we all like Silksong, that, we'd all be interested in content packs, but I mean, it might be the case that they're happy with Silksong when it finishes, and that's that. And I imagine that if that's the case, then plenty of modders will probably do things like boss rushes or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, there are already bigger mods coming for Hollow Knight, 2 of the big mods which already exist. White Palace, from what I've seen. You were kind of into that regard as well, White Palace, I think, right?
With Pale Court, sort of.
Yeah,
I
Pale
was
Court.
asked to help playtest some of it. I did a very, very little bit of one part, and unfortunately, with some of it, I wasn't able to get into as much as I would have liked, mostly because I had a few real life stuff going on to where
Mm-hmm.
I was not as engaged with everything, unfortunately. But at the moment, I haven't had too much news about that. And of course, I can't share anything.
Of course, yeah, of course. But you would say that regard is overall positive, so even from the little time you had on it, you would say it's okay?
Yeah, I mean, if they ask me to playtest anything else, I'll be doing my best to be able to at least having more time and such that I'd be willing to
Mm-hmm.
continue helping with that. But I mean, from what I've seen, it's really nice, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure that folks will be quite impressed with a good bit of it.
I do wonder, yes, if it will manage to recapture the feeling that I had for uh, the well, the first time I did the real game, the original one. I mean, it will be interesting to see what they're going to do. Which again, um, don't want to dwell on too long, but true. I'm indeed excited for the community projects. We had a few of them. I noticed we had a few projects which started kinda and then sadly didn't really go anywhere. But perhaps there's going to be similar stuff for Silksong.
I
Have to
wouldn't
wait
be
and see.
surprised. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm already really impressed with seeing how mods, some of the earlier stuff that, particularly with boss mods and such, that it was more just new attacks, and now you have things to where folks are doing custom animations, custom sprites, that kind of thing, to where it's more stuff that changes, that it gets better and better with seeing what folks can do.
It does have a very good modding community. I must concur. I must admit that is indeed very much true. Here's
I
hoping.
mean,
That
should
this, yeah.
I was going to say that it definitely is that they deserve a lot of appreciation and support for the stuff that they put out. That
Mm-hmm.
it largely it's passion projects that they have a lot of fun doing and being able to show what they can do with that.
Yeah.
Like any of the mod videos that I've done with like bosses with the so and so's kind of crazy and so forth. I'm just the person playing it. It's the stuff that's actually made. That's really impressive. Like Jingo or Sala or Red Frog or plenty of the other modders. 56 KD and so
Mm-hmm.
forth
Mm-hmm.
that have done things that they're all really talented with the stuff they've been able to do.
Here's a big shout out to the Whole Night community, the Whole Night modding community. So, big props to you. What was I going to say? Oh yes, exactly. We were talking about the future of Team Cherry, but what about the future of you? What about your future, Cranky? What kind of thing could you imagine that after Silksong might come out, Team Cherry might move on to something different? What kind of plans do you have for your channel in the future?
I'm going to be the best East Side hockey manager player in the world.
In the world. Okay.
In truth, I don't really know. But a lot of it will be that I'm sure that there'll be other games that I'll have fun playing and so forth. But I mean, I've always been surprised that I'm still playing Hollow Knight. That
Yeah.
there's
True.
things that just keep bringing me back with various mods and so forth that provide some sort of new challenge. Like the ones that just have radiance orbs shoot around while you're trying to do bosses. That one's that makes it
Okay.
so much harder, but at the same time, quite a bit of fun to be able to just see, hey, can I dodge both things at once?
So perchance you might still be playing Hollow Knight in 10 years. So. Uh,
I don't think. I think that might be unlikely, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's other challenge games with it, because I would love to get more into other games in which I do more challenge runs, like hitless bosses or any kind of thing like that. It's just simply that's pretty big time commitment to actually just keep doing that, jump into new games with it. And as I said, I meander with games, so I tend to not be very good at getting that done in a timely manner.
Are there some series where you have put your eye kind of on, like that you might start doing in the future? Any games, perhaps, or?
Oh, that is difficult to say. I mean, there's quite a few that I'm kind of waiting to come out, but I think Silksong is really the biggest one of that. There's a few that I've been meaning to go back and play, both not only just from like Metroidvania kind of things, or platformer kind of ones with that. I do want to go back and finish Curse of the Moon too. I've been meaning to do that. I haven't played the Blasphemous DLC or so forth, and it's kind of stuff that just kind of sets by the side because other games pop into things. Like folks suggested Darkest Dungeon. I'm kind of getting engrossed in that at the moment.
Interesting.
And with the Darkest Dungeon 2 coming out, there's kind of that thing where you want to get into it because of a sequel coming out as well.
Did you play any games in the Souls series, like, I don't know, Dark Souls, or what was the other one? I don't know, but do you play them by chance?
Like, I haven't played Bloodborne or Demon Souls, but I have played Dark Souls 1 through 3. I beat it as a sorcerer, and according to one of my friends, you don't really beat Dark Souls if you beat it as a sorcerer. So I've beaten Dark Souls 1 as a melee character, so I've legit beat Dark Souls 1. I have to go back and do 2 and 3. Okay. Legit.
I just started playing the third one, so yeah. I mean, I took the normal class. I think that was the knight, but I don't know. I'm not too much into it because the thing is, it was so funny because it was just like one day again, one of these days where I was just like sitting in front of the PC and I was bored and I just saw like a video, I think, discussing the lore, and then I just started to like, yeah, okay, why not? And then I just started to watch one video, then 2, then 3, then 4, then I watched an hour-long review of it, then I did go through the wiki and stuff, and then I was kind of like, that all seems very interesting, and so through that I just bought the game, and not bad, I must say. It's very entertaining. Sometimes frustrating, but mostly entertaining.
Oh, definitely. I've definitely made plenty of goofs with Dark Souls. They're not really my forte with the type of games that I can do, but they're still a lot of fun, even if you make a lot of goofs with it.
True to that.
As Good. Well as being able to say, why is there an instant death pit here, of all places?
Some of the placement is very... I must admit, like, sometimes they just had too much fun, I think, placing the things around, because sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm going through that door, and then suddenly from left, like, an enemy comes, and like... You guys knew what you were doing there the first time. Okay, interesting. Haha, funny.
Well, I mean,
well done.
I kind of got into it, especially after watching the Donkey videos of that, the kind of goofy humor with it.
Video Game Donkey. Yeah, okay. Interesting.
His stuff consistently makes me laugh, so... After doing that, there was that entire thing of wanting to play Dark Souls as well to see how interesting it was.
Goody. True. I definitely need to go back to the first one. Maybe would you say which one of the 3 was your best experience so far? Like,
well, I mean, 3 is a bit more polished, but that's kind of a loud car nearby. But the first one definitely has more of a. I think the first one's probably more, probably the best of my opinion, and the one that I kind of come back to. But the first one definitely has a lot of things to do shortcuts and such. I mean, like the master key to be able to go to places you wouldn't be able to get right away. And I think the third one has some things like that, but I'm not as knowledgeable on the second or third games, unfortunately.
Okay, interesting. Good.
Besides, you have to go to Blighttown and experience the horror of toxic and poison and all that. And all the rickety bridges that sway as you try to walk across them.
Sure, I can do that. I can definitely do that. Or I could, watch TV. But yeah, I could definitely also go to Blighttown and experience poison for myself. That's also something that should be on my list. Okay, good to know.
It's a really good time, with like quotation marks and everything.
Good slogan. Coming back to the last question that I wanted to ask you. Your channel. So 21,000 subscribers. You've told me. Could you imagine yourself doing this as a full-time kind of stuff? That you full-time do commit to your channel, or to your channel and do it as like an actual lifetime kind of stuff?
I could see that, but I don't think that that's very likely, particularly in the foreseeable future. Like, I was juggling 2 jobs while doing YouTube up until this year, and I kind of just quit my part-time job, mostly because juggling all that was a little bit rougher than I would have liked. But my full-time job is actually a pretty quiet desk job. I'm pretty happy with it, pays the bills, and I think I like that consistency. As even regardless of how big you get with YouTube, there's a certain sort of sense where the internet is fickle and so forth, to where you kind of want to be able to have a sort of sense to where you have that stability. There's also the entire thing of I can pay my bills and so forth with a standard 9 to 5 job, to where I'm not really beholden to things of being like, hey guys, I need you to donate or anything like that. It's kind of nice to be able to just say, this is a hobby. This is something that I don't need anyone to give me anything. I can just do things that are what I like to do and so forth, where it's something that folks can just come and enjoy and so forth, and that's that.
Well said. Well said. So, thank you very much for that answer, and thank you very much for coming today. Now, we come to the funny haha segment, where technically you could ask me a question, because we turned the concept on its head. If you don't have a question, then that's fine with me as well.
I think I'll ask my initial question in this setup. Who are you? Where's my family? Why have you brought me here?
Well, to answer those 3 very, very hard questions, thank you for the good questions, by the way. I'm Dieter Proletarian. I am currently the only living person on this planet, and I try to juggle that with my charm and try to do something original. I've been doing a lot of Silksong, I've noticed, where I think 99.95% is kind of just Silksong from my channel, and I've noticed kind of that a topic, especially a relevant topic which a lot of people seem to enjoy, is a bit risky to just do like 50 videos on the same topic, because some people would probably accuse me, and could probably rightfully accuse me of, hey, you're just fucking clickbaiting with that topic to get like amounts of views and followers. And touche, good sir, touche, that is indeed true. It might be better to branch off in the future, which I'm kind of planning on in the moment. I have a few kind of ideas floating in my head, which goes from, I don't know, just doing a simple let's play, or better even to do reviews, which I, plan to do soon. I am currently in the midst of planning to do a review of a cartoon show which came out this year, Animaniacs. I don't know if you know it, but
Oh yeah, I remember the original.
Yeah?
I remember the original. I was a kid around that time.
Most people were. I wasn't. I mean, I think even if I was born that time, I don't know how the programming in my country, in Germany by the way, would have kind of handled that. I know there is a German version of that show, but I honestly couldn't tell you where it ran and when it ran, but that's just German American kind of TV kind of stuff anyway. It's always a bit weird. So I definitely watched all of the reboot episodes, very legally, of course.
How did you enjoy them?
Difficult. That's I go into that a bit in my review, so I don't want to
gotcha.
Do too much. But the gist of it is basically that while I do prefer the old series, I can definitely say that there's a lot of effort into this new series, and even though the first season, if all of the 13 episodes are the first season, which I assume was a bit mixed from time to time, where it had some episodes where it was like, that's pretty funny, that's well done, that's not bad, and other episodes where it was just like, okay, it's still 10 minutes left, okay, just have to wait and sit and stuff. So it's okay. I definitely will expand on that point a bit on my review, but I can definitely hope that the second season might be better, might be as good again. As long as it doesn't get too bad, I'm okay with everything. So, yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, good luck with the review as well.
Yeah, thank you. I want to do more stuff like that, because doing the review has kind of showed me that with doing the Silk Song videos and like the Whole Night videos, it kind of grew a bit stale because it was basically just like in a comedic kind of way, like spin the wheel. Which part of the Silk Song trailer will we analyze today, and then like do a 9-minute episode from it and just put the gameplay in the background. It grew kind of a bit samey, and even though people do enjoy me talking about it, I kind of feel that it has gotten a bit like repetitive, because I feel that a lot of the time when I write the scripts, I kind of catch myself writing the fucking same thing over and over and over and over again, and with the reviews, I kind of hope to do something more, like do something more topical, do something that's a bit wider of a range, where I could like review movies, series and games, and just do everything. So yeah, let's just hope that it works out, and that's everything. Yeah. Good.
Awesome. Well, best of luck with that. I mean, it can definitely
Thank
be
you.
that sometimes you just need to take a break from what you do and try something else.
Yeah, the problem is that I decided to take that break like a few weeks before December 13th, which is my speculation for a new blog post, because they had one in 2019 and 2018. And knowing these blog posts, they will definitely be content for 2 videos or maybe even 3. So have to see how it goes. But I'm definitely excited to do new stuff. So best of luck to you as well. And again, as we always say at the end, pretend that I'm just giving you a gift right now, and yeah.
Well, thank you.
Pretend we're doing this in a real studio and not on a Discord call.
With,
Wouldn't
like,
that be funny?
Audience politely clapping and everything.
Nah, this is definitely a real studio audience that we're having here. Can we get applause? Haha. And no after edits. Yeah, very good. Very good. So thank you for coming. I hope it hasn't been too awful for you. And yeah, best of luck to your channel. And we always end the episode with a nice catchphrase. So if you just want to say your catchphrase.
Oh goodness, why am I here? But no, more seriously, thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Again, it's been my pleasure. It's been my house, and it's been my pleasure to have you here. So, thank you everyone who has actually managed to watch till the very end, or the 2 people who watched the beginning and then skipped directly to the end. Thank you for still staying with us, and speak soon, dear viewer, and good night.